NASA Aerospace Scholarship Program is an opportunity for, could be any student who's interested in STEM, that wants to learn more about NASA and learn about opportunities.
It's been a story growing up. My dad, he loves engines, he loves cars, he loves everything about stuff like that. But we have more of a language barrier when it comes to speaking because he speaks mostly Spanish and I speak mostly English, and so we don't really have that much of a better communication to speak to each other, but this communication we have is through building things, through engines, through cars, stuff like that. And I think that is where it really started to affect me on my love for science and STEM.
I met Isaac in my introduction to engineering class, and I recognized immediately that he was a little different than the other students, but at the same time, what he's doing isn't any different than everyone can do. So what I noticed is, for example, he already had a 3D printer at his home, and we were doing a project where I asked them to 3D print something to solve a problem, and he brought it in the next week. He brought it in right away, and I thought, oh, let's look at this. I'll share that out with the rest of the class, and we talked about it. And then he took that back home and made some improvements to it, brought it back very quickly. And I knew that his can-do attitude made him stand a little more apart from everyone else.
Hi, my name is Jerry Brown, and I am in the NASA Community College Aerospace Scholars. So I am from Porterville, and I've always kind of struggled on figuring out what path to take and how to get where I wanted, but I always knew where I wanted to be, and I've always kind of dreamed about being involved with science and engineering, and I kind of fell in love with like aerospace and astronautics, and I actually give a lot of credit to that to my dad.
I've always loved building things. As I think it was in 6th grade, my teacher asked what did I want to be when I grew up, and I said an inventor, which not really a job, but it's something that I wanted to do because even in that time I would build small little things, small little cars out of pencils and rubber bands, things like that, and from there it only grew.
We didn't always have the most wealthiest of conditions. We lived on the east side for a good part of our life, and you know, we despite some struggles that we had, he would still try to find some means to help enrich the things that I loved. So going as far as, you know, when I was probably in middle school, he got me a telescope, and some other times he would buy me the little model rockets that you could launch into the sky, and it was just kind of little things like that that kind of helped me find my passions.
I think like 3 years ago I bought my first 3D printer, and that really changed the game for me. That I could build so much more. I started getting into coding, I started getting into Arduinos, stuff like that, and these things really helped me get this award because I was able to build projects to show the projects out, and that's what I really loved about it.
Both of my parents were very proactive in helping me learn. My dad had always wanted me to go to college, and my mom would always buy me these huge stacks of books of anytime that I found myself getting interested in a specific kind of topic. They would kind of go all in and try to help me find the way to actually learn more about it. I'm very fortunate that my family helped enrich my drive and curiosity. So I was taking engineering classes, and Dr. Burgess talked about it in his class. We got a couple emails from the engineering department, and I kind of looked into it. I actually started signing up, and I procrastinated a little bit, But it's actually kind of funny because even if you just start it, then NCAS kind of like goes, hey, you started this. There's still time for you to finish it. And so I was like, what the heck? So I went on there, typed out everything they needed, and I ended up getting accepted.
I actually applied to tons, and this one, they reached out to me and offering me the acceptance, and I was like, I didn't remember it. I thought it was because I'm doing another NASA, a NASA challenge for PC as well. So I thought it was the same thing as that. But then, so I asked my professor, I was like, hey, what does this letter mean? And then I was like, is it the same thing? He's like, no, this is the NASA Aerospace Scholar.
Because in the program, you have 3 different missions. And in those missions, you have first, learn about NASA. So you spend about a month learning about all the different things that NASA does, all the different opportunities, all the different types of fields that you could be doing, like biology, or it doesn't have to be engineering, but it could be engineering, technology. And there's a place for you at NASA. That's basically what they're teaching you. And then after you make it through that, the second phase is to go through a simulated project. So they give you a project. My understanding is you work with a group of people, get through that simulation of a project. I'm sure you're going to learn electronics, maybe some programming, things like that. And then make it through that, you'll get an opportunity for an internship. So you get an opportunity to work side by side with a scientist or an engineer. Just opens up a world of opportunities.
Every student that I've talked to in NCAS has had different experiences. For the most part, you get to learn about how NASA operates. You get to learn about like the different directorates in NASA and just some of the ways that they break apart their programs and how they do their missions. I have finished mission 1. I am currently waiting to get feedback on whether or not I'll advance. As far as I know, I have 100% in our Canvas, so hopefully I'll get through. I honestly think it might have better prepared me for one of their other programs, LaSpace. Just kind of getting an idea about how they operate a little bit more internally. Some of the ways that they'll try to teach you, a lot of the stuff is online through Zoom. But honestly, it was just kind of interesting to actually get to learn from educators in NASA about things in greater detail than you could from just looking something up and just reading through the overview of a mission. Like, no, you'll actually get to read NASA-backed articles about all kinds of different missions, past, present, future, in all of their directorates. I'm a lot more engaged now after completing the first mission of NCAS and now actually starting through the pipeline and LaSpace. I'm a lot more engaged with the idea of trying to get into like internships with NASA and like trying to in other aerospace industries, and even though like NCAS is actually supposed to be competitive to get into, it's kind of like opened my mind to being a lot more driven to try and get those opportunities.
Well, I think about our community, and I think a lot of people may look around our community and say, okay, this is an agricultural community. I see opportunities at maybe a Supportville Developmental Center, hospital, and other services. And so they might think that this is the whole world, when in reality, there's so much more going on around us and opportunities. And so I really see this NASA Aerospace Scholarship as an opportunity to explore that. And as long as you're willing to move to where the opportunities are, there's so many different NASA opportunities all over the United States, the world, potentially up in space, right? So it really is freeing the mind of our students to say it's not just the greater Porterville area that I live in. There's opportunities that really allow you to dream, to be more than you thought you could be.
I do know that they do offer an internship right after that because you know, you already went through the whole process of it. So they offer you an internship, and that is one more step leading to the employment of NASA, which I want to do. I want to work for NASA full time, become an aerospace engineer for them. I want to build the rockets for them, basically.
I'm very much like behind the idea that like engineering is the future. I mean, there's a lot of fields that will stick around probably for at least my lifetime, but I believe that engineering is one that will probably be around for much longer than that.